The topic chosen today is SCOMET, which is an acronym for Special Chemicals, Organisms, Materials, Equipments and Technologies, and has emerged as a very significant player for export of products from India. Hello everyone, my name is Viren Dayal. I'm a custom broker and a LSC certified trainer in customs law, applied rules and regulations.
For latest updates, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.
India is a signatory to Chemicals Weapons Convention, Non-Proliferation and International Convention on Disarmaments. The United Nations also in one of its landmark resolutions has urged all member countries to discourage weapons of mass destruction, that is WMD, and not to export any SCOMET related items which has a dual purpose, civilian as well as for warfare, or can create or can be used for nuclear purposes or manufacture of warfare and so on. So under Montreal Protocol, which India is a member, which ratified the SCOMET items a few years ago, it has been decided that for export of any SCOMET items, it will be either prohibited or restricted unless it is specifically exempted. Hence, exports are seen with an eye on the SCOMET items, and if a particular product falls within the ambit and scope of the SCOMET item, then all these regulatory requirements are mandatorily to be obtained from DGFT. DGFT has divided SCOMET items into 9 broad categories, and currently category number 7 is kept outside the purview of any licensing matter till further orders. The other categories require the exporter to obtain an authorization before export of any items. So category 1 is nuclear materials, nuclear items, equipment related to nuclear goods, and the NOC has to be first obtained from the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India, and later on the SCOMET procedure should be seen whether it's allowed for licensing or it is completely prohibited. The next category is toxic chemicals, agents and other chemicals, and here the office of the DGFT has to be approached for obtaining an authorization for chemicals which may be of dual use. Next category, microorganisms and toxins, also have to be cleared from the office of the DGFT under the licensing regime. Materials, material processing equipments and other related technology also needs to be processed by DGFT, and if the authorization is required, it must be obtained, for which the list of SCOMET items should be seen. Besides other list, another important list is munitions list, for which NOC is required to be obtained from Department of Defense and Department of Defense Production Technologies. For each category of the various items, the CIN list, that is the commodity identification note in part 2 of the SCOMET list, must be thoroughly checked before any export product is entered in the customs area for export. This stems from the realization that SCOMET is a very sensitive area, and both the officers of the DGFT as well as customs officers become more vigilant when export or import of various SCOMET items is seen. Since India is a signatory to the Chemical Weapons Convention and other measures like non-proliferation, it is therefore seen that India has its own legal framework in the office of the DGFT to regulate SCOMET items, but also at international level. Besides, the provisions of the WMD, Weapons of Mass Destruction Act, is also followed scrupulously by DGFT. Both exporters and importers are not only liable to the provision of SCOMET items in their country, but also in the importing country, the same system applies. And therefore, the SCOMET items are regulated by all the countries who are signatory to the United Nations conventions on WMD and the Chemical Weapons Convention, and this kind of policy is now here to stay, that all SCOMET items will be governed in a very strict manner with all its other legal provisions such as confiscation of goods, imposition of penalties and so on in case the provisions are not adhered to.
For detailed learning of all logistics subjects, visit www.logiveda.com.